my name is Amanda Sarasien, and I'm a translator from French and Portuguese into English. Today I'm going to read from my newly released translation of Springtime in the Bones by Állex Leilla, a Brazilian author from the state of Bahia. Springtime in the Bones is a novel of seasons and survival. Set in Salvador, it tells the story of Luisa, a successful marketing director, well-read with a biting wit and ample reservoir of pop culture references. In the novel's opening pages, she's staggering to her feet after a rape, as the reality of what has just happened seeps into every cell of her body. Dissociating from the pain, Luisa retreats into fragments of music lyrics, and both real and imagined conversations with her ex-husband and great love, Michel, who left her to marry another man. These circular and often wry dialogues, interspersed with the novel's non-linear plot, broach literature, language, film, philosophy, everything but Luisa's trauma. Conversations in which the words, "I was raped, my love," always seem to fall short. Throughout, she nurses two entangled desires: to find herself once again in Michel's arms and to murder her rapist in a gruesome act of revenge. A novel in fragments and cycles, Springtime in the Bones lays bare the isolation of language, the foreignness of the body, and the persistence of love. In the scene I'm going to read, Luisa at last reveals to Michel that she has been raped. 7 days. Only 7 days later, she picked up the phone and called Michel. In that amount of time, she could see and feel more delicately the end of that weakness in her legs, which had started just after the hemorrhage. Could feel the hematomas yielding little by little to the skin's natural color, and the hatred hardening, scattering calluses throughout her brain. Hearing his voice on the third ring, a smile. How could she not smile at the discovery that she hadn't lost the butterflies deep in her stomach, the curious waves that his voice stirs up inside her? Asking him to pick her up, take her for a walk on the beach, for a coffee on the corner, for a cigarette in the rain. After all, it's been fucking raining in Salvador ever since she left the hospital. Until he complained about her disappearance, asking where she'd been. What's all this about the hospital? And blah, blah, blah. Luisa, I'm worried about you. Blah, blah, blah. Luisa, what's going on with you? No, my beloved, but truly loved, by the predestined sky, without which life is nothing, without which you want to die. Look. It'll be impossible to hear anything in this moment of ineptitude, of imprecision. Only by breaking the news all at once, ahead of any question or reproach. Rip off the Band-Aid, quick and violent, mouth running dry, voice falling an octave, just to see if she could believe the reality emerging so absurd and so raw from her throat. Michel, listen, I was raped. What? Surprise. That stifled cry no one expected. She almost drops the phone. He'd always been a calm man, cool as can be. His meekness could get on her nerves. He'd lost control at last. So that's it. Even the calmest men go out of their mind when violence invades the walls of their house. Very good, very good. And what about her? Was she still part of his house? Or had everything already unraveled? And that cry was a mere remnant of loyalty, reflexes, echoes of the water element. Yes, because he's a Pisces, she remembered just in time. But, well, in time for what? Miserable life. Who would worry about the sordid details at that deplorable time when you don't have space, mind, will to remember anything? Nonsense, she reconsiders. The details, references. What's the point of knowing his sign? Always this loss of focus, crappy life. How hard it is not to forget your focus. A deso is a time to find oneself half dead on earth, time to search the bottom of the well for a remnant of reason to go on. No astrology, no occult symbols or maps, please. What comes to mind is mixed up, scalding, and she needs to take a deep breath, make her to-do list. First, kill 2 guys who'd hurt her. Second, archive faithfully and securely the cry of the man she most loved. uttered in the exact moment when she'd revealed she was raped. Until the day she died, she wanted to hear his choked shock, so different from the dry pain, the hatred that Louisa had begun to feel. "What?" he cried on the other end of the line. "My God, it can't be," he murmured. The echo of his bewilderment would continue in her eardrums hours later. "My God, it isn't true. It can't be." When she called her brother, she heard words of disbelief and indignation too, but so different. Her brother pumped her full of questions before coming to meet her at the police station and accompanying her to the hospital. And when they were face to face, Carlos almost couldn't control his nervousness. With his fingertips, he kept touching her face, the bloody being into which they'd transformed her, and saying, "I'll kill those bastards. I'll kill them, I swear." After the ritual at the police station came the insurance paperwork, since the moped had also been stolen. Luis Carlos took care of everything, outraged, on edge. On the way to the hospital, he sped, cursing at pedestrians and all the cars that got in his way. He turned to her, at times forgetting his driving. "Are you okay? Are you in pain?" Louisa closed her eyes, leaning back against the car seat. "All the pain's possible and impossible, hun. I'm pain itself, in the flesh, throbbing in this car seat." But no, she didn't answer. There was nothing to say. Then he lowered his voice, constrained, compassionate, faint. She shrugged. Her voice had disappeared into the pain. Her brother squeezed her knee affectionately. It was one kind of solidarity. It comforted her so much. But Michel's response, his reaction, how to explain? Nothing compared to the unexpected shattering sensation that Michel's voice and then his entire being conveyed. At the door of her house, waiting for her, he was engulfed in an atmosphere of pain and sadness, so close to what Louisa felt, as though his body had also been hit with a piece of shrapnel from the same violence that her body had suffered. A piece of shrapnel, perhaps. Hugging her. Silent. Holding her shoulders. He didn't know intuitively what to say, where to put his hands, what gesture to lead with. Silent, absolutely silent. Nor did Louisa justify the 7 days it had taken her to resume contact with him. She didn't justify the hellish week when she didn't call him, torn between emerging from the abyss, stronger, brutalized, or succumbing body and soul inside the abyss, taking poison, being forever eclipsed. The two damned forces, surrender and go, or not surrender, survive. She was there, alive, burning skin, dry throat, knees going weak, but she was there, hand in his, in the car, heading for some cafe by the sea. And oh, Jesus, to keep merely for all eternity that dismayed expression that he'd given her as a gift, that cry, that shock. How many nights would she wake up in some near and specific future with that "what?" let loose into space, traveling painfully through the telephone wires? How many times would she take a bath, lie on the floor, not a single light on, the natural light of the sky crossing part of the room, ears open, catching that, "My God, it isn't true. My God, it can't be," in the stillness of the future, echoing. Dancers aged by time. And she would smile, cross and uncross arms and legs, twirl the ends of her hair, trying to guess what he might be doing in that exact future moment which danced on her forehead. In the past, every time she asked, he'd never say much. He would repeat her question, distracted. "What were you doing yesterday at 2:30 in the morning?" "Nothing. Sleeping, reading a book, listening to some music, answering emails, watching something on TV, working." He turned to her, ironic. "Well, what else is there to do at 2:30 in the morning, Louisa?" "Everything," she'd retort with conviction. "Thousands of things. You could change a whole life at 2:30 in the morning." "Really?" He didn't seem convinced. "You think?" She would insist. He'd shrug. At 2 a.m, you were breathing. That in itself was a lot, wasn't it? For moments like these, she thinks, has thought so many times, would continue to think. For tiny little moments like these, it was worth the effort to hold back the despair, to resist. Thank you.